Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Walker, and welcome to March Madness. We hope you have been enjoying all of the great trainings that we've been giving you. I don't know about all of you, but my family is currently thoroughly absorbed in watching all of the basketball games, and I think our March Madness is a whole lot more fun because you're getting some great information on how to grow your business and how to really take things to the next level. So one of my pet peeves is the solopreneur who tries to do everything all by themselves. And they really try to be like Superwoman and He-Man all at the same time. And they think they can do it all. And to me, what that looks like is a huge waste of time. I know that they're not spending as much time doing sales and marketing as they should because they're busy doing all the little tasks. And also, it's just not that much fun because you can never go on vacation or else everything falls apart around you. And you feel like you can't afford to take time off because everything requires you to be involved. So today's March Madness training, and this is the last one of the month, we're going to teach you how to get your team in place. How do you start finding good virtual assistants to help support you in your business? And how do you make sure that your business is really ready to bring on talent and build your team? So I'm excited to get to introduce you to my co-hosts today. Lauren Gall and Melanie Ammerman are the founding co-partners of VaVa Virtual Assistants. They're both native Midwesterners that have over 15 years of experience in business services and specialize in a wide variety of administrative duties. So they have successfully built a six-figure virtual assisting company that has a passion for helping business owners achieve the work-life balance that they desire because they take care of your stuff, all that daily stuff that you never seem to have time to do and takes you 10 times as long as it would take someone else. They do it. So what they're going to train you on today is really how to fully utilize a virtual team in your business so that you do not have to be the one-man show and you can get some help. So Lauren and Melanie, we're so excited to have you on today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome.
Excited to be here. Yeah, and we're really excited to share some tips and tools that we've learned over the years that have really helped us be successful and hopefully all of you. So yeah. So I guess we could get started. Uh-oh. Can you all see let's see. Let me share my screen here. Okay.
Awesome. It's looking good.
Yay. Okay, great. So, oh my gosh, technical difficulties. There we go. So I don't know what's happening.
At the beginning. That's the end.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
See, this is why you have two of you, so you can make sure together all things are managed.
Exactly.
Yes. So a little bit more about who we are. We started in 2011. I was actually in a sales position and I talked to small businesses all day long and they all had a need for what we do now. And but they either one, didn't have the money to bring somebody in-house, or two, didn't have enough hours to give somebody full-time work. And so I brought the idea to Melanie and we met at a Panera. I still remember the day that we met and we came up with our name and the concept and everything. And we had a business like the next week. So we definitely have just a passion for really helping business owners handle their day-to-day tasks on the back end. And we know that, so many business owners, like you said, Amy, are just so busy that they try to manage everything and it doesn't happen. It's really hard to manage everything in the day. So that's kind of how we came about and who we are. And, now we just really strive to help the busy business owner on a daily basis. And we love what we do. So that's how we got started.
Yes. Thanks, Lauren, for kicking us off. So when we speak to entrepreneurs, even long-standing business owners, the common phrases that we hear are, such things as these, like, there's not enough time in the day, I'm so busy, I just can't get ahead, I just don't have enough time, I'm overwhelmed, I have so much to get done, I wish I had some help, can they please perfect the cloning process? I'm sure you've at least thought of one of these, if not several, because running a business is hard and it's very, very time consuming. And unfortunately, as Amy mentioned earlier, there are some business misconceptions that a lot of business owners really believe to be true, that they have to do everything themselves, that you're alone in the business, that it's all up to you and only you, or even that investing is bad and it will put you behind. Well, I'm here to say that in actuality, those things aren't necessarily true, because business owners aren't experts in all facets of business. We aren't as well. I mean, it's taken a lot of trial and error and learning and mistakes to figure everything out along the way. And it's all great, but having somebody able to help and delegate things to where it might be their expertise is really essential for growing the business over time. And also, investing is good. And if anything, not investing will put your business behind. For example, when we started the business, I ended up becoming a graphic designer and web developer because we didn't have anybody to do that. So I did that. I spent hours and hours and hours upon hours trying to figure out Photoshop or Illustrator, or how to figure out how to build a website in Wix or WordPress, like sleepless nights trying to figure this out. And I would just waste time doing that. And then when we actually decided to bring people onto the team that can do those specialized tasks that neither of us are experts at, that's when we actually started to see the business take off, because we could spend that time focusing on the back ends of the business that only we could do to grow business, implement new services that we can offer to our clients and customers. We really could take that time and dedicate toward the business for the future. And a big argument we have is, a lot of people, the go-to thing is having an in-house assistant. If you're going to have an assistant, it's got to be in-house, right next to you, in the same building. And that's actually not necessarily the case anymore. This world is really supportive of virtual work. With obviously email makes it really easy, or even Zoom like this can make meetings really easy for picking up the phone. Things don't have to be done when you're sitting right next to the person. So, and it also can save you time and money having a virtual assistant instead of an in-house assistant. So for example, an in-house assistant, you might have to foot the bill for office space, their equipment, buying their computer, or utilities to even run the office space. You may even have to pay for benefits and insurance for them. Whereas a virtual assistant, they take care of all of that on their own. That's huge cost savings right from the get-go. And another instance is virtual assistants. You basically pay for their time that they're working. You're not paying for idle hands. So an in-house assistant, maybe you have them and you're paying for them for 40 hours a week, but maybe they don't actually work those 40 hours a week. Well, you're still paying for it. So that can be a lot of costs that you don't need to pay, because a virtual assistant, well, if they take them 15 minutes to do a task for you, they'll charge you 15 minutes and that's it. And so that's huge cost savings as well. And as far as training goes, virtual assistants are typically really well versed in being a virtual assistant and a lot of facets that they need to help their clients with. So the training is very minimal in that sense. And also, going back to the time where they only bill for the time they work, they are very efficient with their time. So, and you're only getting charged for that time, whereas an in-house assistant, might spread out time more because they have to fill their time. And another point is that people that are in-house assistants get very comfortable and used to working with their clients only when they're both in-house together. So if their boss has to go on vacation or do a work trip or something like that, their work either stops or is significantly reduced because they don't know how to work when one of them's not there. Well, your virtual assistant, that's how they work. They know how to work when you're not physically together. So work can continue if you have to go out of the office or out of town or whatever. You just have that virtual communication base that continues no matter where you are. And another thing that I'd like to say is that we've seen clients of ours that used to have a full-time 40-hour-a-week assistant switch to a VA and the same task might be 20 hours. It just cuts time down and it saves a lot of money.
Yeah, and we a lot of times talk to people that think that they need the in-house assistant, but they actually don't. We just had a client the other day tell us, I wish I had invested in a VA 3 years ago. And she's like, she's had in-house, she's never used a VA before. And she's like, this is amazing. And the cost savings is just awesome, and the expertise and everything. So you don't actually usually need somebody to be in-house. And that's the beauty of being a virtual assistant. So
definitely.
We also talk to a lot of people that, they're kind of going back and forth about whether they go overseas or whether they should use a US-based VA. We are an all US-based firm, so we've definitely tested out both, but we definitely have found that there are benefits to using US-based assistants. One, outsourcing to different countries can be a little bit a little less expensive, but there are definitely limitations. Language barriers, time zone issues. Maybe it's hard to arrange video or phone meetings. And then also, like, a lot of times we've seen that they don't work as much with you. They're just there to do more like one-off projects. So those are kind of the benefits that we've seen by using a US-based VAs versus overseas. So yeah. And then we try to talk with our clients when they're first starting, or when we talk to people that are starting out using a VA, like how to choose the best VA. Sometimes we always suggest never go with the person that you first talk to. Always, number one, first and foremost, is to ask your network for referrals. That can be such a big thing when you're looking for a VA, just because you can hopefully trust the people that you're asking that they're going to send, a good referral your way. But also, if nobody in your network has used a VA before, then do your research online. Look at the companies. Look at websites. Make sure they're a reputable company. Make sure that they've, they can do what you're actually asking for. And also do your due diligence on the company and just making sure, research into the company and whatnot. And then find a VA firm that has the skill set that you're requiring. We can't say this enough. Like, don't go with a VA company if you're looking for, let's say you're looking for, social media, calendar management, and high-level research, but the VA company that you really like only does social media. Well, then maybe it's time to look for, another company to make sure that you're getting a company that can actually do everything that you say. Because the last thing you want is to specify what you would like in a VA and then them not be able to deliver. So definitely doing your research on the firms that do have the appropriate skill set. And then hold interviews. We get asked to do interviews a lot, and that's a big thing. Some people totally miss that step, and it's okay, but it's not great, because you wanna interview to make sure that you're on the same page with things and how you want your business to run and whatnot. And those are things that you can ask in your interview, and it doesn't have to be long. It could be 20 minutes, but at least you're connecting with them. You're hearing their voice. You're making sure they're an actual company, and you're not just emailing back and forth to settle on a contract. And ask for references from your VA. So if you're ready to move forward, ask for references for their work, and make sure that they do what they should be doing, which is meeting deadlines, and they can communicate well, or whatever those key things that you're looking for in a VA. Just make sure that the references speak to that. And then also, you're more than okay giving saying that you want to do a 3 to 6 month trial. We found that that time frame is really a good time frame to know if the VA company that you're working for is a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, that's okay. But at least you say up front, like, look, I want to give it a 3 to 6 month trial to make sure that, it's going to be a good fit for both of us. And companies appreciate that when you are upfront about that stuff. So, and then the other thing that we always talk about with our new clients is how to best work with your VA. It is very different working with a VA than working with somebody in-house. So it's best to really communicate what you're looking for up front. Discuss your business. How do you work? What's your routine? What are your working hours? And the reason why those are important is because maybe you're on the West Coast and your VA is on the East Coast, and making sure that like when you each are working is only going to help the relationship. Because if you work odd hours, or you're not both online at the same time, or whatever the case might be, that's just grounds for miscommunication, and miscommunication is big in the VA world. So, and then understanding your goals, making sure that you create a list with your VA, long-term, short-term goals. And one of the other questions that we always ask is, what does a successful VA relationship look like for you? And that's very different for every client that we speak to, or every person that we speak to, because one successful VA relationship might be, oh, they get my invoices out on time. And another one might be, oh, well, that I never miss a meeting with potential clients. So it just depends. But knowing that up front will only help your VA be more successful. Because that's the end goal, right? So, and then establish task expectations. So define those initial tasks, procedures, deadlines. And if you don't have those in place, that's totally fine, but communicating that and making sure that your VA knows that. We've seen, like, time and time again, deadlines are huge. If you send over something and you don't have a deadline, and the VA thinks it's one day and you think it's another day, that's just another instance where you wouldn't want that to happen, because if it's not in your favor, then it could go, left very quickly. So, so providing those expectations up front is good as well. And then clear instructions. So just making sure that, again, you guys are both on the same page, and you over communicate. Over communicating is big, because it's better to over communicate than not communicate at all. So yeah.
Yeah, and so when you start to work with your VA, here are a few things just to keep in mind. As Lauren just mentioned, communication is huge. So keeping that open line of communication at all times, especially at the beginning, is really, really important. And allowing and actually encouraging questions from both sides, from you and your VA. Just really encourage both sides to be really open. What you expect from them, what they expect of you in return, is really, really key up front to get a really good start with your VA. Another thing we recommend is having recurring calls, just check-in calls, typically weekly to start, and they can, be more spaced out as you guys have kind of gotten to the groove. But at the beginning, weekly calls are really important to kind of build that relationship, build the rapport, kind of make sure you're on the same page, go over anything in detail on the phone or video that needs a little bit more attention than just email or text communication. That's a really good thing to set in place up front. And it's a good thing to remember to be patient up front. So Lauren mentioned, 3 to 6 months is a good, amount of time to see if it's going to work out. We definitely say 3 months minimum, because it does, like anybody that's going to start working with you, it takes a little bit of time to fully learn the business, fully learn your expectations, how you work, everything like that. Just allowing that time up front just for everything to get in place is a really, really good thing to do. And also establishing trust. So it's really important for you and your VA to trust each other back and forth. Addressing any concerns along the way, making sure, like I said before, that communication is really open. Just remembering that your VA is there to support you, and that at the end of the day, like, they're your right-hand person, and that you really trust their work is going to be in your best benefit. And you may be thinking right now, of the various things that you could get off your plate right now that you might want to have a virtual assistant take off your plate. Well, we're going to go over some common things that our clients utilize VAs for. At first, a major thing at first is typically executive assistant work. So calendar support, having your assistant, run your calendar, be in contact with your clients and customers or whomever to set up appointments for you and put those in your calendar, and they're there for you for whenever you need to look at it and see what you need to do that day. Travel booking is also really great. It's a really easy thing to hand off to someone else. Just give them the stipulations of what you need and they can take care of all of that. Even setting up CRM or managing that going on is really key as well. Any data entry, if you have a lot of Excel sheets that just information needs to be input on a regular basis, they can take over that for you. We even have clients that use us for like human resources tasks, doing the initial interviews on the phone or even video, reviewing applications, creating an application sheet, doing reference checks, background checks, things like that are just like, taking up your time that someone easily can do for you.
Stuff that you don't want to do.
Exactly. This is all the stuff that you don't want to do or you shouldn't be doing because it's not the focus of your business. And bookkeeping is another huge one. Keeping track of setting budgets for you based on your financial situation, running reports for you and explaining that to you, or even taking over invoicing. Like, if you have that monthly invoicing session that you just would like to get rid of, someone can take that over for you and take care of that. Graphic design is a huge one. Like I said before, that was one of the main things that we started delegating. That helped our business start growing. They can do all your social media cover photos, images, social media post images. You can create a new logo if you want to, or if you have an event coming up, create a flyer for marketing materials. Anything, business cards, anything that you can think of that requires design, they can do that virtually very, very easily. And the same with web development. It's all online. So them, taking over the design or even a complete revamp of your website is really easy to do. I mean, as your business updates, your website needs to continuously update. And having somebody take over those tasks when that comes up is really nice, just to take it off your plate and it gets done.
Yeah, we've also seen a lot of support, or a lot of clients want support in the web conferencing arena. So that could be your online conferences, maybe webinars, various other online displays of web conferencing to get out to your audience. But anyway, underneath that could be anything from video editing, transcription, landing pages, recordings, customer support, live chat, all of the things that fall on the back end to be able to put on a podcast, an online conference, a webinar. So all of the support behind that. Also, social media is big. Everything from account setup all the way down to your ongoing management. And analytics and things like that. Under social media also could be copywriting, but that could also be a standalone service as well. So what falls under that is, blog articles, marketing material, proofreading, editing. You'd be surprised how many websites you probably go to that have, edits that are needed on their blog or, things that maybe they miss. So having that proofreader or whatnot is great, but also having somebody to write those articles is even better. And then digital marketing, so your drip marketing campaigns, your Google AdWords, your SEO, your automated email campaigns through Infusionsoft or MailChimp or Constant Contact, whoever you might use. So those are all really great or really common areas where we see outsourcing. Oh, that's what happens. And then the other thing, when we talk to clients, they're not sure when to delegate or what to delegate. So we always ask clients or, new businesses that we're working with, well, why did you start your business? And what are the tasks that you really like doing that are in your expertise that somebody couldn't do? And once they give us a list of all those things, well, everything else can be delegated to a VA, I'm sure. So repeated tasks are really big. Goes back to I use bookkeeping a lot as an example, but let's say you have invoices that need to go out on the 15th and the 30th of every month. That's a repeated task. And whether it's documented or not, a VA can do that for you. And a VA can even document for you. So just go through your day-to-day and figure out what are my repeated tasks that, I do every day or every week or every month. Those types of tasks can be delegated to a VA. Administrative tasks, obviously delegated to a VA, and tasks that aren't within your expertise. So like we said, social media, website design, all of those things. So those are the types of things when you're thinking about, your day and what you should delegate, and when to delegate. Those are the types of things that you should be delegating to your VA, because ultimately the point is getting, hours back in your day so that you can actually focus on, the stuff that you want to be focused on versus the back end stuff that generally people are flooded with every day. So.
Yeah, so we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you all do as well. And I think typically our entrepreneur works between 60 to 70 plus hours per week on their business, especially if they're doing it all themselves. That's probably minimum. So imagine if 40 of those 70 hours is spent on counterproductive tasks. So everything like Lauren just mentioned, the administrative stuff, the repetitive stuff that's not your expertise. Those are counterproductive tasks to grow in your business or making you more money. So imagine if 40 of those 70 hours are taken up with those tasks that could be delegated to someone else. And if that's true, your money and time is not being spent well. It's really not, and it's really hindering your business from growing. So imagine this whole pie right here is everything you're doing, the 70 hours. It's both on counterproductive tasks and business development and growth. Well, if you delegate those counterproductive tasks away, the whole pie could be dark teal, and you could spend all that 70 hours or maybe a little less on business development and growth. And if you think about that, just imagine how much your business could grow with investing that much time in just growing your business. And the investment in the virtual assistant or whatever you delegate tasks to, that investment is minimal compared to what you could be bringing in for your business if all your time was spent for growth. Mm-hmm. It's really minimal, and it's worth the investment too. So, it's time to take a look at it. What's your time best spent doing, I guess, and if you can answer that and put that in a list and then list all the things that your time is not best spent doing, get rid of those things, figure out who can do it for you, and we promise you your business will see a difference. We saw it in ours. We can't stress it enough that it really, really makes a difference to get help so your business can grow.
Yeah, we were in the same position when we first started, and the second we started relying on our team, our business just skyrocketed. So just knowing when to invest and where to invest is going to be key. So this is a list of industries that we've worked heavily with over the last several years, but it's not limited to this list. I would say, I think every industry could utilize us. It's just a matter of, or utilize a VA. It's just a matter of how, maybe. But yeah, we've worked with a number of different industries, everything from leadership and lifestyle coaches and speakers to nonprofits, insurance, real estate, marketing firms, accounting and financial firms. there's so many different ways that a VA can help various industries. Like I said, it's just a matter of how we can help. So I encourage you, if your industry is not on this list, and you are potentially interested in seeing how a VA can help, just inquire and just say, look, I've never used a VA before. I want help with my business. Here's what I do on a daily basis. What can you help me with? And they're probably they should be able to come back with a list of a number of different things of how they can help. Because like I said, I think almost every industry, if not every industry, could use a VA. It just might be how. And if you've never used one before, like I said, you should definitely inquire to see how you could benefit from one.
Definitely. So if you're kind of the bottom line of our message, if you're looking to win in business, see your business grow, and also give yourself some time back in the day so you can focus on growing your business by doing revenue generating tasks, or even increasing, the experience for your current clients and customers, or even get some more sleep at night, or spend some more time with your family and friends, going on vacation, just to make your daily life a little bit easier, then it might be time to invest in a VA, or even just look into it. It could be really beneficial for you. So, and Lauren and I are actually running a promotion right now. We're offering 5 free hours for any new package for any new clients. So if you're interested, or if you even just have any more questions about a virtual assistant, even if you don't want to use VaVa, that's fine. We're just happy to be here to support you in making this decision to get yourself some help so you can grow your business, because that's what we want to see, successful businesses. So if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to us, info@vavavirtual.com. You can also go to our website, vavavirtual.com, and contact us through there, or give us a call. We just would be happy to speak with you. So we thank you so much for attending this webinar. We hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to give it back to you, Amy.
Awesome. Well, I was muted so that I wouldn't butt in, but I have to tell you, there were so many things that you said that I wanted to be like, yes, because I watch entrepreneurs, and I did this when I was brand new, and I think we all do, where we're so determined that we have to be good at every area of our business that I remember spending, honestly, probably 40 hours trying to figure out how to set up my CRM. When had I just, and this was a really simple free CRM that should be user-friendly, but was not Amy-friendly. And so had I just paid somebody to go and do it for me, they could have probably done that in 4 hours. So Amy spends 40, it should have been 4. And who ended up losing money? I did, because that was time that I did not spend with potential clients. It was time I did not spend speaking or marketing or getting my name out there. It was just wasted time. And one of the things that I love about the virtual hiring market is that you can start small and grow. And it's not like you have to, it's not the old school where you've got to have 20 hours or 40 hours. You could literally hire someone for 5, right? Like if you just have a project, hire it out.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, find somebody who does. Now, I think you're going to get the best bang for your buck when you find that long-term working relationship, but you can start out small and grow from there. And so it's really something that's accessible for everybody, no matter where you're at in your business. So awesome. Thanks, girls. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's such a good segue. I'm going to steal the screen share here. But it's such a good segue into my training as well, because I am going to be teaching how to, I don't need my email up. I need my PowerPoint up. This is how you know trainings are live, because, like recording real time here. Can't find my PowerPoint. Where did you go? Okay, hold on. I'll find it. I cannot really here it is. Get ready to hire. I'm not very skilled at maneuvering the computer and talking at the same time and making it look like I'm not maneuvering the computer. Here we go. There it is. Found it. And start slideshow. Here we go. Okay, so what I want to help you figure out is how do you lay the foundation to really work successfully with a team and transition out of doing everything on your own? So my question for you is your business ready for a dream team? So I promise today that I'm going to save you time and money by stopping your hiring mistakes. One of the things that I have heard from business owners is that they say, well, I tried hiring once. It didn't go well. I've tried that virtual assistant thing before. It didn't go well. Well, I got to tell you the honest truth, and this might sting a little bit, but one of my promises is that I promise honesty even when it stings. So it might be you. It might not be the virtual assistant. It might be you. And so I'm going to help you figure out you and your business so that you don't have to make those same mistakes. If you do stay until the end, I do have a bonus gift for you. So make sure you stay plugged in. And here's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to tell you the 4 things you need to do before you hire. So if you're looking at it going, yes, VaVa, you have sold me. I want a virtual assistant. I don't want to do half those things you just talked about. Here's the 4 things that will make it so that your hires of your virtual team go really, really smoothly. Okay, so number 1, I do need your attention. So turn off your cell phones, turn off Facebook, stay engaged, take lots of notes. I'm going to give you some really great information that normally I only give to people who have already paid me to help build their leadership systems. So take lots of notes. This is me, and this is why having a virtual team is so important to me, because if you can't tell, there are a lot of kids in that picture. This is a couple years old. My oldest is now 15. My youngest is now 5. And yes, they are all boys. And yes, I do know how they come. It's funny the questions people ask when you have a big family. You do know how that happens, right? Apparently, yes, I've done it before. So these are my boys, and they keep me on the move and on the hustle. You know, every weekend is spent getting them to and forth all their different places. This last weekend, we had an Easter egg hunt. We had a basketball tournament. We had the science Olympiad. And we live in the middle of nowhere. Everything is far away. So we literally every afternoon, we are driving from one place to the next. And every weekend we're spent doing stuff with family. And that is exactly how I want my life to be. And so in order for me to be able to achieve big in business, I cannot try to do everything by myself, or it just doesn't work. I end up burnt out, tired, grumpy mom, and my middle child, this one right here, told me recently, he's like, Mom, you've just told me every day after school that you're brain fried, and I just want you to play with me. And I was like, yes, I want to play with you too. But when I'm not getting enough help in my business, that's literally what shows up for my family is I'm too brain fried. I need a break. You know, they get home, they're excited to see me. And I'm like, give me just a couple minutes. Mommy needs some mommy time, instead of being able to feel like I have a good flow in my business. So I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I will tell you that the only reason I've been able to achieve what I've been able to build is because of this team. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am in business. I am the author of Walk Your Talk, Take Ownership, and Lead Like You Mean It. I built my business from the ground up to over $2 million in revenue in our first 5 years in business, while being a mom who's balancing business life and family life and raising all these babies. So I told you my youngest is 5 and my business is also 5 years old. I literally started my business 6 weeks before he was born. And so I've had newborns and babies and little kids and people who need a lot of stuff from me. And so you may look at $2 million in revenue in 5 years and say, that's not enough for me. But I will tell you that it far exceeded my expectations. My original goal in starting a business was to be able to do 6 figures a year and be able to be an at-home mom who worked from home and raised my children. And what I found was in the very beginning, I put a strong emphasis on building a great team. And my great team naturally elevated my business from my goal of, $500,000 in revenue over 5 years into over $2 million in revenue in 5 years. So that's what can happen when you build a team. One of my key things when I'm coaching my clients is that we want to build businesses that are based off the 4 pillars of success. And I'll show you what that is in just a minute. But the way that we do that is we help you to run a tight, efficient team of rock stars that help you to be able to serve more than you could do on your own. And that is definitely true in my business. If this was just me, plus my crazy brood of 5 boys, and my awesome husband, Steven, there's no way I could help and serve the amount of people that I get to serve now. So here's my 4 pillars of success. And here's what I'm so passionate about with working with business owners. I want your business to be financially strong. I want you to make great money. I want to look at your profit margins. I want to figure out where you're overspending and help you run a tight ship there. I want you to sell more. I want you to make more money. But I also want you to be able to have time freedom to spend in the areas of your life that are really important and valuable to you. For me, it's faith and family. For you, it might be contribution. You might be fighting for a cause. You might be helping in humanitarian ways, or you might just have hobbies that you really, really love. Whatever that looks like for you, time freedom is critical if you want to truly feel successful. My 3rd is strong relationships. I want you to have time for the people in your life. I think that VaVa was right on when they said that a lot of entrepreneurs are working 70 hours a week, but let's be honest, if you're working 70 hours a week, it's not really a great place for having strong relationships. You find that you get too busy for the people that matter the most. And then pillar number 4 for me is living in alignment with your personal beliefs. I meet a lot of people that tell me, oh, these are the things that I really truly believe in and they matter in my life. But when I ask them how much time they're spending in those core areas, a lot of times it doesn't match up. And so I want you to really, whatever it is that you believe, I want you to be able to live in alignment with that and that your business supports that alignment instead of competing with it. So here's why you shouldn't do it alone. Expensive tasks can have inexpensive delegation. So here's what I mean by that. I mentioned a couple minutes ago that I had my time where I spent 40 hours trying to set up my free autoresponder. That ended up being a very expensive task, but it would have been very inexpensive to delegate. Now, I'm not saying this for every CRM, but when I was using the free version of a free program, that's a 4 or 5 hour setup. Now, I've seen people I use Infusionsoft now as my CRM, and I have seen people spend 3 months trying to get Infusionsoft set up, whereas I have an assistant on my team that can do that in 10 hours. And I promise you, the inexpensive delegation is going to be so much more than making it an expensive task. So another reason why you shouldn't do it alone is somebody else does it better and faster than you. And we can't have ego about that. The best thing you can do for your business is bring on people who do it better and faster than you. It will help you grow so much easier. Also, your primary role in the company is to make more money for the company. That's your job as the business owner. So anything you're doing that's not bringing more money in, it needs to be delegated. And if you really want the 4 pillars of success, a team is just simply part of the equation. I don't know any of my clients who have experienced the 4 pillars of success without having some help in their business. It's not about weakness. It's about just getting clear. It's so strong to be able to create that. So here's what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to talk to you about corporate values and corporate culture. I'm going to talk to you about how do you create the positions, the 4 types of hires, and then I'm going to talk to you about tracking and management. And if you have these places or these pieces in place, you will be able to have successful hires. If you don't, it's kind of a crapshoot. I was talking with somebody, she was interviewing me on her radio show a couple of years ago, and we were talking about this concept of building a team, and she said, the frustrating thing about building a team is you get somebody, they're really good, and then they leave, and you're left with nothing. And what I said is, well, can I be honest with you? When I hear people say that, what that says to me is that they had a good person, but they did not have a system. And if you have good hiring systems and good leadership strategies and systems in place, what will happen is you can have someone come and you can have someone go, and your company will still maintain the knowledge, the processes, and the skills. Okay, so let's talk corporate value and corporate culture. It is really important that you lay the foundation, because at the heart of your business is you. And what surrounds you is corporate value and cultures. You need to create a corporate culture and value system that supports who you are as a leader and how you thrive. And so I have every single one of my clients go through this exercise of really defining who the company is. So here's my example, and you can go through this on your own. So the first one is just your statement of who you are as a company. Amy Walker Consulting is a family-owned and operated business consulting firm. We launched in November of 2012, and we've educated and coached thousands of business owners, teams, and entrepreneurs. Then you go into the mission statement. So this is, what is your mission and focus as a company? Now, here's why this matters. If somebody doesn't support the mission statement, they will not ultimately support the culture, and they will be harder to work with. And if you've got virtual assistants, they are never going to know this unless you tell them. Like, it's not posted in the office somewhere. They're not going to overhear you talking to clients. You either write this down and you educate them on this, or they will never know, and they won't be able to support you in the best possible way. So here's my mission statement. Amy Walker Consulting builds leaders through structuring businesses that provide the 4 pillars of success: financial strength, time freedom, strong relationships, and living in alignment with your personal beliefs. A business leader with true success is a powerful contributor to our global family. Then you're going to have a client statement. We work with business owners, established entrepreneurs, and high-level network marketers and corporate teams. Our clients are ridiculously committed to growth, both personally and professionally. Now, if your team members don't know who you're looking for, how are they going to help you successfully market and get your ideal client? They won't know how to. Our strategies. So now we're going to tell them what we can do for them, our expertise, and our promise. And I have a lot of info to cover, so I'm not going to read all of those, but you need to have that in place in your business, and I'll show you where it's all going to show up. You also need a corporate culture statement. So here's our corporate culture. We value innovation, great ideas, and collaboration. We celebrate our individual and team wins together. We work hard when it's time to work and unplug, and are fully present in our personal lives when we clock out. We are responsive to the needs of the team. We keep a positive attitude and have no patience for drama. This is a no drama zone. So that is our corporate culture, and it is going to show up in a lot of places. So just because you have this idea of what you want does not mean that your whole team knows what you're trying to build. And I'll just tell you this, when you are, like, when I read those statements, to me, I feel excited, and I'm passionate about creating that type of a culture for people to work in. So when you create that, I promise you, you become the favorite person for your virtual assistants to work for. My VAs and my whole team, except for myself and my husband, my whole team is virtual. They work all over the US and Canada, and they do a wonderful job, and they feel so invested into Amy Walker Consulting, even though they all have other clients. They all have other people that they work for, but they love the culture that we've created, and so they work really hard for us, and they communicate really well together. So you're going to communicate this in the job post, in the interview process, during training, in your weekly meetings, and during your regular performance reviews. And yes, you should be doing all of those things. So let's talk now about how do we create the position. So the first thing that I do is I list all the tasks that I would like to delegate, and then I group by department. Now, in the beginning, what will happen is you have one person who works across multiple departments, but as you grow, those tasks need to be able to be divided up. So maybe you had a virtual assistant in the beginning that did marketing, sales, and finance. Well, as you grow, you're going to end up with a marketing VA, a sales VA, and a finance VA. So you need to have them grouped by department in the beginning. The next thing you do is you group the tasks by skill set. So some skills don't transfer over well. For example, I have a position that's a marketing assistant that helps us to secure all of our partners. And they need to be outgoing. They need to be dynamic. They need to be well-spoken. They need to be able to represent me and have a similar conversation that I would have if I was reaching out to a joint venture partner. And at the same time, they need to be able to keep track of details and deadlines. So that's a really unique skill set. And it's kind of combining two that don't often come together. So if I got somebody in there who was great at managing details, but was abrasive in talking with partners, they would not do well in this position. Or if I got someone who was great with the people, but they couldn't keep track of deadlines, they would not do well in this position. So we need to group according to skill sets and make sure that we get that it's a job that we say, okay, I can actually find one person that can do all of this. I'm trying to think of another example. Oh, here's an example. So this is a common one that I see people make a mistake of, which is why I love companies like VaVa, where you can hire one company and have multiple VAs working for you. But I see people get a general VA who's really good at managing the details of their schedule and mailing things out for them and just managing their travel, all that kind of stuff. And then they want them to come up with their social media strategy and manage their social media content creation. And it's like, yeah, those are really two different skills. I'm not saying you can't find one person that can do both, but it's not likely. Likely, you need a social media VA, and then you need a VA that handles your admin tasks. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to group according to pay level, and I'll show you how this is going to save you lots of money in your hiring. Okay, so there are 4 types of hires, and let's jump into these. We have the strategist, the manager, the producer, and the implementer. The strategist is your most expensive hire. The reason is they're bringing strategy into your business. Like, they are taking their skill set and they're bringing it into your business. They're going to create the strategy. They're going to tell everyone what to do, and they manage the implementation of it. The manager is somebody who manages people or systems. The producer is somebody that has their own skill set that they bring into your business. And then the implementer, that's just a good, solid team member that you can train. They're honest, they're hardworking, we like them. So here's how this can come into play to save you a lot of money. Let's look at this in terms of finance, in terms of your finance department, because this is a really good way to see this. So the strategist in the finance department is a CFO. The manager is going to be probably your accountant, the producer is your bookkeeper, and the implementer is a finance assistant. So what a lot of businesses do is they say, I can't really afford a CFO, and so I'm just going to hire a bookkeeper. Well, a bookkeeper costs between $35 and $55 an hour, sometimes as high as $75 or $85 an hour, depending on what part of the country you live in. And so they say, I'm hiring a bookkeeper. And then they try to have the bookkeeper do the tasks of the CFO. They don't really know how to do that, but they try to have them do that. And they try to have the bookkeeper do all of the tasks just short of filing your taxes, because the bookkeeper can't file your taxes. But they try to have them do everything just short of that. And so what happens there is the bookkeeper doesn't really understand tax strategy, and so you're probably spending more on taxes than you need to, because nobody's watching for all of those areas to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck and take care of all your deductions, and even things like adjusting based on how much you're making throughout the year, adjusting how much they're withdrawing to make sure that they're not taking out too much, but you're also not going to end up with a big tax bill at the end of the year. Your bookkeeper can't do that for you. And then what they do is they end up paying, 55, let's run it like this. So we'll say, pull up my little trusty calculator on my phone here. Let's say they pay $55 an hour and they hire them for 15 hours a week. That's $825 a week, and times that by 52 weeks. I did the math wrong. Okay, let me do this again. 55 times 15 is 825, times that by 52 weeks. You guys, that's $42,000 a year. That's crazy. $42,000 a year. Now, let's look at how we could adjust this differently. So let's say you bring a CFO on for 3 hours a month that they consult with you, or even quarterly. Sometimes you can bring on, in this virtual hiring market, you can bring on a CFO once a quarter to go over your strategies with you and make sure that they're in place. And then you hire your accountant to actually come in and look at the books once a quarter to make sure your tax strategy is on place. That's going to take a couple hours. And then let's say that you actually skip the bookkeeper. Or no, let's not skip the bookkeeper. Let's say you bring the bookkeeper on for 2 hours a month just to look over your books make sure everything's in the right place. And then you take the other 13 hours a month and you put that into an implementer. Well, you could hire a virtual finance assistant for, I'm going to say $11 an hour. So let's say we give them 13 of those hours. So that's $143 a week, times that by 52 weeks. That's $7,436. Do you see how the difference between the $42,000 and the $7,400 gives you the payroll to be able to hire the strategist, the manager, and the bookkeeper? If we can just be really strategic with understanding the different types of hires and the different pay grades, it's going to really help us to be able to do a good job at saving our businesses money. So let's talk about tracking and managing. This is going to be our last tip here for you. You do have to track and manage your team, whether they are in-house or whether they are virtual. This one doesn't even matter. You have to track and manage. So here's what I recommend. I recommend that you do weekly meetings with your team. I recommend that you have regular communication going on throughout the week. So whether you're using Voxer or you're using Slack or you're using Messenger or email, but a place where you can have that communication going regularly. And it goes both ways. You've got to be available to answer questions for them, and they need to be able to answer your questions as well. And then weekly reports. They need to be able to report in and say, this is what I got done. These are the benchmarks we hit. This is how we're progressing on this project, and really clearly let you know what's going on. And then I also recommend that you have created clear standards for your team so they know if they're doing a good job or if they're not. When I hire assistants in my home to help with, housekeeping and laundry and more laundry, because hello, 7 people, I have to do these standards saying things like, okay, to me, cleaning out the sink means that you actually take out the little drain and you dump out all the gunky stuff, and then you wipe down with the spray bottle. That's what cleaning out the sink to me means. Because to somebody else, cleaning out the sink might mean there's no dishes in the sink, and that's it. But they leave that little tray full of all the gross stuff, and I don't want to clean that out, especially after it's been sitting there. I don't mind cleaning it out right after, but if it's been sitting there for a couple hours, it's just gross. So I need to create the standard and tell them exactly what I want them to do and how I want it to be done, because you cannot assume that your standard is the same as theirs. And if you do, you're setting yourself up for some frustration. And then the last thing is, I want you to watch productivity indicators. You need to pay attention to know if they are working hard for you or not. And watch really closely in the beginning, and it will help to set the tone. But don't stop watching after the beginning, because everyone's on their best behavior the first month. And then they start to kind of settle into a comfortable workflow pattern. So during that first month, be watching for different things that show you that they're being really productive, and see if they're stacking up or not, and address it if they're not. So here's what we covered. We covered your corporate culture and values, creating the position, the 4 types of hires, and also tracking and managing. Now, if you're looking at this saying, okay, this is good stuff, Amy, I really do want to build a team and take my team to the next level. How do I get my systems in place? I would love to invite you to learn more about our CEO Circle. So this is an intense 3-day workshop for small business owners and entrepreneurs who are looking to build, phone's ringing, who are looking to build a fully functioning marketing plan, build the structure for their sales systems, and create leadership and scalability plans. So this is really everything you need to know to grow your business in one very intense 3-day workshop. So if you are really looking to take your ideas that you've had for your business and fully implement them, this would be a great place for you to go. What we do is we divide it up over 3 days. And day number 1, we build your marketing plan for the year. We work on your avatars. We get you on a 7-point marketing system. We create a 1-year marketing calendar and map out a year's worth of strategies. We teach you how to build production timelines and learn how to build campaigns so you don't have any holes in your campaigns. Day number 1 is probably the most intense day. But day number 2, we build your sales system. So I teach you 5 different models that you can run your sales system off of. You get over 31 pages of customizable scripting template for you to use in your business. You get to create the structure for your sales system. We teach you the numbers you need to track so that you never miss your sales goals. And then day number 3 is leadership and scalability. So we do work on clarifying the brand and the corporate culture. We work on hiring employees versus independent contractors versus consultants. We work on best hiring practices, best training practices, best management practices. And I really teach you the proven strategies that I use to ensure that your business is a drama-free zone, because nobody's got time for that. So if you are looking at this and saying, you know what, I feel like I'm really ready to take a step into the next level of my business, but how much is it going to cost? So here's what I want to tell you here. And a lot of people ask me this question, and it's the wrong question to be asking. Because the truth is that money replenishes itself, that, you know, you're going to spend money today and in a couple weeks, you're going to get more money. But you know what doesn't replenish itself? Time. Oh, that skipped slides. Where am I going now? Time does not replenish itself. So I don't know where my time slide went. It's going to show up somewhere here. But time does not replenish itself. So if you are constantly looking at things saying, well, how much is it going to cost me to hire this person? You got to look at that the wrong way. You will, if you will hire out and you will spend the time making sales calls, you will always have the money to pay for them. But what you will never, ever, ever get back is time. So we've got to stop some bad habits of doing things all by ourselves. And I'm going to just end and wrap up with a little story here. This is me, this one in right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but that's me. I was 19 years old when I went to Russia to go volunteer to teach English. And I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't speak the language. I didn't really know the culture. But after a week of my host mom taking me back and forth to school every day, holding my hand, I decided that I was a big girl and I could do this alone. And so my family prepared me. They wrote down a list of my bus stop names that I could take, the bus numbers I could take. They wrote down my bus stop name for where I lived and the one by the school. And they told me about rubles and kopecks and how much I should expect to pay so no one would try to rip me off. And they gave me the information that I needed. But you know what? Sometimes even with information, we make mistakes. And I looked at my list and it said bus number 5, and I looked at the bus and it said bus number 5B, and I thought, how different can they be? And I ended up my very first day going by myself. I got on the wrong bus. I got completely lost. I spent hours lost in Russia, walking around from one grandma to another asking, where's Koltsovskaya? And they would answer me in Russian, and I didn't know what they were saying. And so they would point and I would walk, and they would point and I would walk, and I went in circles. I literally came back to the same places over and over and over again because the information alone was not enough. And because I, by myself, doing it all on my own, I wasn't going to get there. So if you're tired of doing it all by yourself and you're tired of feeling like you know the information but it's still not working, you may want to consider coming to the CEO Circle. It's 3 full days of training. You get a 150-page workbook, 31 pages of sales scripting templates. We cater lunch. We have a lot of fun. We work hard. So if you're ready to say goodbye to frustration and wasting time, then I would invite you to come. You know, I really am a small town mom. I live in a town of about 300 people. There are more cows in my town than there are actual people. And we live a pretty simple, quiet life. But at the same time, we get to run this multi-million-dollar business. So if you think that you want to take your business to the next level, our next step is to assess your business. So this is where my team will go in and they will look at your sales system. They'll look at your marketing system. They'll look at your leadership and scalability plan, and they will give you specific feedback for your business. And at the end, they'll ask, so what do you think? Would you like to hear about the CEO Circle? It's up to you if you say yes or no, but I invite you to say yes. This is a $150 strategy session that I'm going to give to you for free. So if you would like to attend, here's your link. You're going to go to https://meetme.so/business assessment scheduling. I'm going to read it one more time so you can write it down. https://meetme.so/business assessment scheduling. And that will give you a free strategy session where we will go through. My team will look at your sales system, your marketing strategies, and your leadership and scalability plan and see what your game plan needs to look like. So thank you so much for being on with us today. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can exit out of full screen here and hop back into our Zoom. Where are we? Here we are. Okay, so VaVa ladies, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate your information, and I just hope everybody goes and gets some help. Don't you? Like, let's go do this thing. Let's get some help. No more trying to do everything all by ourselves. Awesome. Okay, so VaVa, thank you so much for being on again. And do you want to just remind everyone how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. To get in touch, you can visit our website, which is www.vavavirtual.com. You can email us at info@vavavirtual.com, or you can give us a call at 888-603-9997. All of those are great ways to get in contact with us.
Awesome. Yep. Okay.
Thank you for having us again.
Oh, yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming. All right, and the rest of you business owners, I'm going to go get some help in your business. Have a great day, you guys. Thanks.